And I think it's Michael Jordan, the best looking, the best player, the most relentless. And then I think it's LeBron James. Steph Curry's close, but in his prime, LeBron's in his. Sorry, LeBron wins. So my take is there's only been 3. Kareem wasn't, Wilt wasn't, Duncan wasn't. They weren't. And the other thing is, it's not just about going to Duke or playing for a big brand. There are 2 things that matter. An aura. Jayson Tatum doesn't have it. And we can't ever question that you shrink in big spots. In the gold medal game, Jayson Tatum had 2 points. Game before, he was a coach's decision, do not play, when he played with the best players in the world. Secondly, Jaylen Brown wins MVP of a conference finals and the finals. They traded Marcus Smart because he was taking the ball out of his hands. I love Jayson Tatum. I think the league thought Zion could be...
Everybody knows that about you.
Okay. I thought Zion had a chance. But he just wasn't because, and I don't really blame him, because they come into the league at 19 years old, he wasn't mature enough. Ja had a chance. He just wasn't ready for it. That the league mostly doesn't need it, hasn't had it, and Tatum's not it.
All right, so you threw a lot there. One is, can I sell you on one other face of the league in that time frame?
All right.
And that's the Shaq-Kobe duo.
Okay.
I think but after Michael, before LeBron, I thought the Shaq-Kobe collective with the Lakers was the face of the league, if that exists. But it's a very, very short list. And I actually talked Tatum, because you know who's a huge Jayson Tatum fan is my son DeMonze, who co-hosts the podcast I do, and we were talking about that actually this morning. And about why Jayson Tatum online in particular seems to get so much criticism from America's honesty broker, gets so much criticism. And I think there is a feeling, and it might be unfair, it is just a feeling, of a little inauthenticity that people don't wrap their arms around. It's the exact opposite feeling people get when they watch or listen to Anthony Edwards. So for good or for bad, people watch Anthony Edwards and say, you know who he's being? Anthony Edwards. You know what he's saying? Whatever's on his mind. You know what he's doing? Whatever he wants. Now, there are some maybe issues with that, but it's why people are drawn to him. Tatum, I think, for a lot of people, feels a little too pre-produced. And then there is also the factor of, and people, Celtics fans might not want to hear it, and he is the best player on the defending champion and a team that might win again. But to be the face of the league, you have to be eligible to be the best player in the league.
Right.
And Jayson Tatum is not.
Yeah.
And people can say I'm putting a ceiling on him. Jayson Tatum will never be the best player in the NBA. There is no shame to that. Kevin Durant, who has reached heights Tatum has not, and I think will not, never was the single best player in the NBA. There's only like 16 guys across history who have ever been the hands-down best player at any given moment in the NBA. So Tatum's right. I check off all the boxes, except for the one that matters, which is what we feel, like what we know. And so, again, the Celtics probably should win another championship. And if he's a multiple-time champion, probably get a Finals MVP at some point, he's going to be first. All of the accolades, all of it. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be on a list alongside of LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, Michael, Magic. Again, it's a very, very short list. So I agree with you on that.
Okay, so finally, Shedeur Sanders. So, I said most of the time in my life, the corporation or the organization has the leverage over the employee. But when you're the Giants or Cleveland or Tennessee, in Shedeur Sanders' interviews, he grew up rich. He's even richer now with NIL. You're awful. He's talented. And he would probably rather drop to a good team. I don't want to hear in the combine that he came off as, a little standoffish. Well, maybe because he'd rather you pass on him and go to a better team. And my take is the world changes. The culture changes. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski's like, I'm not doing one and done. And then he realized he was getting beat by guys that one and dones. And Mike Krzyzewski said, okay, I'm doing one and dones. The culture has changed. Players come in now as millionaires. Owners in the NFL are billionaires. They're more impulsive. They fire coaching staffs. I don't want to hear that Shedeur Sanders didn't bow to you. These kids come in with sometimes more leverage than the team.
So I have maybe the most odd Shedeur Sanders opinion of anyone, which is I have zero off-the-field concerns and a ton of on-the-field concerns. So, like, all of the Shedeur Sanders conversation seems to be about Shedeur Sanders, the negative conversation is about Shedeur Sanders, the guy. And from everything I have seen, from everything I've heard from people who actually know him, from watching him in the spotlight, I'm like, I think this kid has handled obscene fame, a ton of wealth, and a huge spotlight about almost perfectly. Not perfectly. There were last year when kids were transferring out, a few tweets I think he would want back.
Yeah.
But given where he's at, the scrutiny, his dad, his brothers, all of it, I think Shedeur Sanders, the leader, the intangibles, all that stuff, is super high marks. I just worry about Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback, and whether or not he had, like what I saw from him at Colorado, which Coach Mangini mentioned this, I thought it was a good point. It felt like a lot of the potential red flags you saw occasionally from Caleb in college, you saw a lot of those same ones with Shedeur without nearly as many of the, oh my God, what did I just see type of wow throws. And so I would not be worried about drafting Shedeur at all because I think he's arrogant or character or any of this nonsense, which really just means confident, in this case, rich, young, black kid. Like that part I think is ridiculous. I do have legitimate concerns about whether or not if the quarterbacks in last year's class were in this year's class, would Shedeur be the 6th quarterback off the board?
Yeah.
Would Caleb, Jaden, Drake, Cam Ward this year, and J.J. McCarthy all go ahead of him? Maybe. That to me is far more legitimate than any of this arrogant stuff.
Nick Wright. All right. That was good stuff. My friend.
How are you celebrating tonight, Colin? The 50,000 points. I mean, you'll never see it again. No one will see it again.
You know,
it's rarer than Halley's Comet, literally.
You know what? Let that percolate. Let that bake. I'll try to do something special. Maybe I'll have a celebration.
Go to one. Listen,